Excellent. Well, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get kind of kicked off with a discussion piece here. There may be a few others that may join us along the way, um, but thank you for being on this morning. If you want to pop your information in the chat and kind of let everyone know who you are and such as well. But with that, I'll open it just kind of up to anyone that wants to jump in here. But what has been kind of a main topic or challenge or hurdle or kind of roadblock that's been coming up recently, whether in business or even in businesses that you've been working with, that it's just kind of been a common thing coming up that we can tackle in our discussion today? Don't everyone jump in at once.
Well, I have two calls 5 days a week, the one at 7:30 and one at 8. And they're kind of me coaching, but they're other agents. And so it's interactive and it's back and forth. And the theme today was the teacher becomes the student, because I was talking to to Marlis in Minnesota, who considers her success list a checklist. And I said, no, that's just a checklist. That's what you expect to get done today. What was successful? What were the things that you were, that kind of thing. And she kind of teared up, but she's like, wow, you're just really leaning into me. And I said, well, the reality is you're hearing me, but I'm kind of talking to me. So I've this week developed more effective processes. A few weeks ago, Tanner, you mentioned not only do you write down successes, but you write down what you learned. And she in particular was looking at the things she didn't get done instead of the things she did get done. And she was really beating herself up. And we just kind of changed that perspective. But that also helps me because I didn't do everything I intended to do. On the other hand, man, I got a lot of stuff done. And so 2 days ago, my calendar was absolutely full. And I was up at 3:30, not on purpose, but since I was up, I got up and I wrote. And then I published that on my Facebook page, if you follow or we're friends. And then, the day went until 9:30 that night when I got home, went to bed at 11. And I was on task until 3. And one of the things I realized was, hey, if you finish an appointment at 3, you can't be.
Time you put yourself on mute there.
I got muted because of the call, I think. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay. Well, anyways, really important words that I don't know what I said. Now you can hear me. Anyway, I was on task until 3 o'clock and then realized I couldn't be finishing somewhere at 3 and then be 20 minutes away at 3 as well. And I think old me would have said, man, that was so stupid. Why would you schedule it? But the reality was I had a kick-ass day for 12 hours.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, there's a lot of some great pieces on what you just brought up, Tom, and a couple things that I heard that I'd love to kind of get some input from the group and such on. One of them being focusing on some of the wins, not just what you didn't accomplish, and knowing that you have moved the business forward, things like that. I know even here in our firm, we've gotten bogged down in, oh man, we set these goals and we're not quite there, but taking that step back and going, but look at everything that has been accomplished and celebrating those wins. I think that's an area that I think we could dive into a little bit deeper. And one of the other things I heard was checklists versus what is actual success, what is goals, and if it's something that you can get done in a couple days or a week, it's not really a goal, it's just a task. And there's the difference between goals and tasks. So let's kind of take that direction today. Let's start with goals versus tasks and kind of just that goal setting piece. What experiences have y'all had in terms of maybe fallen prey to that trap and not setting goals that were big enough that it does take you a little bit longer, and you got to break those down into the tasks that you actually need to accomplish in order to kind of reach a larger goal? What thoughts do we have as a collective group here?
I I think
My whole day is task.
No.
It is. I see Andy laughing because he knows how my life works right now. I'm literally checking tasks, going through tasks. I set goals, but the problem with being an owner of a company is when you don't meet them, what do? Slap my own hand? It's frustrating as all get out. So
You figure out how to find some S and I in your environments, Bill.
yeah.
Find balance.
Mhm.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
there's a-
you've
seems to me
got that
there's a-
nailed, because if you look at my disc, it's all high D, just going 100 miles an hour.
Bill,
mean-
I think a difference between a goal and a task is a goal is a someday. And it's
Yeah.
something that you aspire to. And it's just like mastery. You never master. You get
Yeah.
really good, but then you realize how much better you can be. And so I think you're punishing yourself by semantics. So your checklist is things that you intended to do and you did.
Yeah.
But then what was successful that day, that's something that you learn. Like a success that I wrote yesterday was I took the time to take a breath, got a call from somebody who's not even from the area that was looking for housing that accepts Section 8, which is government assistance. And I went out of my way to find somebody, and that made her feel good. And the whole Zig Ziglar thing, help enough people get what they want, you'll get more than what you expected.
Oh yeah.
So if your goals are the someday goals, my someday goal is to be able to donate $500,000 above my tithe with my wife. I'm not married. I've never made $500,000. But my goal for the day is 2 listing appointments, and my tasks are the calls that I make to get contacts that may lead to those
Nice.
things.
That's a good
So-
perspective.
Yeah, and so Sarah popped it in there, and one thing that just everybody write this down right now. June 30th is 90-day planning here. Okay, so just write that on your list right now. But if any of you have been through 90-day planning or yearly planning or 3-year or 5-year planning, tasks and action items are what goes into goals,
Mhm.
right? You can't have a task without a goal, and you can't have a goal without a task, because goals are not arbitrary. They're not just, hey, I want to do this. Look, I want to be an astronaut. Well, those of you that know me, know that I don't like really high heights and I don't like airplanes. So we're not going to be an astronaut. But what do we have to do? So Bill, I did laugh with you. I would never laugh at you. You guys are here to laugh at me, but we have to look at it. Tasks are what we get us to the next level. All of us have them, right, Sarah? I mean, you've got tasks that go into goals, and you've been doing 90-day planning and growth club and yearly planning, and sometimes goals suck. Let's just all be fair about it. Sometimes they just suck.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
I think my biggest challenge is the day-to-day. I mean, like
The one thing,
Why is your speaker
That's
not
fine.
working?
go ahead, Candace. It's
Oh, no.
working.
Oh, sorry.
No, I just, I have the goals, and then I have my day-to-day tasks, but then life jumps in, and sometimes it's just so hard to accomplish the tasks. It's like, we know that you've got your priority of tasks and what your hot list of, it's like, I've got to get out a quote, or I've got to explain, something, or I've got to follow up with a customer, or, just whatever it might be. You've got that task list, but then, like you say, the call comes in, somebody needed property, and it's, housing 8. Well, it may not be your target, and it's the thing that you have to do. And maybe it was referral, or maybe it's family, or maybe it's your neighbor, or whatever, but life jumps in, and you're just trying to get through the task so that you can get ahead to get beyond the task to the goal.
That is a great point right there. How many of you guys ever kick yourself because you don't hit things?
Every day.
Every day, every
Yeah.
day.
We called that Thursday of every week. So
I call that
there
Friday, too.
there is a great point in itself. So what type of energy is expelled when you guys kick yourselves?
negative and it reinforces itself.
Yeah, but how does negative energy help any of us?
None.
No.
Usually it doesn't.
Exactly. So tell me this, when you guys make a decision to do something, we'll call it life, because it's a now effect, right?
Yeah.
Right? Life comes up now, your kids get hurt, they fall down, you get a call from the school. I mean, you get a call for a quote. That is a now thing, right? So it's urgent and important. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, so then the mindset is that, oh my gosh, I didn't hit my goal, so therefore I kicked myself. I see everybody shaking your head at me. Would you agree, disagree, or that's kind of what,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay, so you made a conscious decision to help somebody else. Here's the easiest explanation I can have after 10 years of coaching. Move the goal, right? I mean, the hardest thing for me, for Tanner, for everybody on this call is we're high achievers, right? So we constantly focus on the things we didn't get done rather than the things that we do get done. And it's funny, Tanner and I were just having this debate, maybe a little frustration with each other a couple of weeks ago. And our business partner, my wife, his mother, was like, you guys just aren't seeing it. You're moving forward. You just want it at the speed of light. You both got to calm down.
I have a question.
So yeah, go ahead.
In relationship to that, I had a conversation with somebody about this the other day, especially for those of us that move very quickly. How can you, so the question is, how can you stop and see how far you've come? But stopping is a choice. So you can literally just stop and say, okay, I'm going to have time for reflection. But what I mean by that is, how do you have that point of reference when you look backwards to see how far you've come and how much you've changed?
Oh, great question. How many of you guys have a vision board?
I have it on my goals to have one, but
Right
I
behind me.
You and I both, Tom.
It's on the wall.
When are you going to do
Okay.
that, Tom and
What's
Candace?
the tasks that keeps on getting moved?
Way to go, Sarah. You opened it up. Great job. Okay, so
Sorry, not
here's a
sorry.
really novel. Yeah. Okay, so let's just take this. Let's go a little psychographics for 1 second. Tell me this, what's the definition of responsibility?
the ability to respond. I mean, that really is what that is. You
Okay,
can laugh at it, but
so
that's the difference to me between react. React is just,
okay.
you know.
Okay, so
ability,
let
choices.
me do this again. So right, so we talk about the point of power or the line of decision, which is ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Okay, so think about this for just a second. Ownership is today, right? We're taking ownership of today. Accountability is in the future, and then responsibility is in the past. The reason I'm bringing this up is, how many of you guys can change the past?
Yes, nobody.
And don't even start with me, Sarah. I know Sarah's like, I can go back in time and do things again. I'll just do it over.
If only I was that cool.
Right. But you have that mindset. But all of us on this call, but how many of you guys can change the past?
None of us.
None of us. Right. That's my point here. So when you don't get something done, it's because you had to make another decision. Now, look, I'm saying you had to make another decision. Now, if you're at the bar and wait a minute, I was at the bar yesterday, so that doesn't count. So, but if you're not doing your job and you're just dicking, or excuse me, I speak freely. If you're just messing around in your office and not doing anything, then there's a deeper problem. Then there is an issue that we really need to get into. But if you're making decisions based on life, based on priority, based on a customer coming to you, then you have to take responsibility for that decision and just say, I made the best decision that I could make at the time. Okay. There's not one of you guys that wake up in the morning and just go, hey, you know what? I'm going to make my life a miserable piece of crap and not do anything. There's not one of you that wake up and go, hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to ruin somebody else's day. But to Sarah's point, we are the first group of people that will say, we don't look at what we did. We don't look at where we've come from. So we arbitrarily kick ourselves for not getting something done, but we don't congratulate ourselves or for that same decision where I did something else.
Yeah.
Do you guys follow me? Like, okay,
Sure.
so let's say I'm going to pick on Sarah for a minute. She has 2 little kids. Okay. When your kids get sick, Sarah, do you feel guilty for working or feel guilty for not taking care of them?
I just had a massive conversation about this yesterday. You're absolutely right. That mom guilt, and I think that's an unfair label because I really truly believe a parent feels that parent guilt of I'm working, I should be with my kids. And with my kids, I feel like I should be working. So yes.
Yeah, exact. There it is right there. So but you have to celebrate that. You have to, we can't, if you don't hit your stuff, you don't get your task done, or you don't get something done because you have to move it, then move it. The hardest thing as a business owner is to give yourself grace or give yourself the freedom to say, I made the best decision that I could make in the moment based on the data that I had. Right. So then I taught, I said, well, can you go back in time? Well, can you go forward? And because everybody here goes, oh, well, maybe I should have done this. Well, maybe I should have done this then. Well, if you guys had a crystal ball or a silver bullet, we could rub that thing and say, oh my gosh, this is going to happen in 3 weeks, but you don't. So we've got to take that responsibility and just say, I made the best decision I could. Look at the success I had. Oh my gosh, I took care of this customer, even though I didn't get my own thing done. Now, that doesn't give you any pass to say, where do we move the next task to, right? Where do we move it to on our calendar? So when we do 90-day planning, or we do growth club, or whatever the terminology, or yearly planning or strategic planning, all the different terms is, we always talk about 2 separate goals each week. So in a 13-week period, you may have 26 different goals, habits, or tasks that play into your overall goal. But here's the caveat that I use all the time. If you have something on your list and for 3 weeks in a row that it doesn't get done on your list, then take it off your list. Why would that be important to take it off your list?
It's a distraction and it's a negative anchor.
It's a huge anchor. And frankly, you haven't made a choice to do it. So why don't we make a choice to take it off the list?
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, that's so to share something that's worked for me as well. Another thing that we can all do is with all the marketing coaching stuff. So for clarity, you guys, I am not an action coach. I am not that cool. I just help people with the marketing track just there. But when we do that, a lot of
But
times,
she is cool.
I try. But what I found works really well, depending on the person's personality profile, this works for me personally, is if I set all these goals for myself, these things that need to get accomplished, I'll put in how long that goal should take and then track my time so I don't wind up in a rabbit hole. And like you said, if it's on there multiple times, I'll literally ask myself, or if I'm working with somebody else, ask them, what is it going to, is it important? Everybody says, oh yeah, well, of course it's important. It's on my sheet. Okay, then what needs to happen so that you actually make the choice to make that happen? It can be as simple as changing the language of the task. I've started doing that with some of my own tasks for myself, is if I keep calling them tasks, I don't want to do them. But changing how they're phrased can get better results. It's all, excuse me, but it's all mind fuckery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, Sarah. Absolutely. And it's for high functioning adults, it is a huge mind. It is all of you getting to where you've gotten to in your successes. It has come down to you rarely slow down to celebrate the wins, but you always slow down enough to kick yourself for not getting something done.
Mm-hmm.
So the original question was, hey, how do I recognize that? And I've got 2 answers. If you do what I learned from Tanner, which was write down my successes every day and write down my what I learned every day. And You literally put that in a journal or whatever, and you can go back and look and see what you've done and what you've learned. That's one thing, but I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well. Okay, you kind of can. Does it say start or is
Yeah.
it back? So
It says
let's
start.
say that you start where the green is and you take a step, and so you're the purple and God is the red. So every time you take a step, just like in the swimming pool, when you're learning to swim, somebody steps back and you keep going and you keep going and they finally reach out and grab you. You're just always going forward, trying to get to your dad that's teaching you to swim or get to that next step. And every time you take a step, he takes a step. So it doesn't look like you've made any progress. But the reality is when you finally get picked up and look back to the start, then you see how far you've come. And that's an illustration of what you're talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like,
Fantastic. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that illustration. I think that's very powerful.
Woohoo! Was in my journal.
you know what? Sometimes I find some of those tasks or goals that move, in my mind, it's a big priority and a goal. Maybe it's a small goal to a bigger goal, but sometimes there are ones that they are important and I don't want to take it off the list, but it's like I might procrastinate more because I have a sense of insecurity of how I'm going to accomplish it, or I'm lacking something that helps me accomplish that goal. And I'm going to give you and here comes the brutal honesty. My business partner's sitting next to me. She might just hit me in the shoulder. No, no. So one of the things that I really, really, really want to do is start this, this marketing, like every other week newsletter to my clients. And so I've started, I come back and I have all these great ideas and I started and I've got all these topics. And I mean, it's something that I'm not going to take off my list. It's something that I need to accomplish. And I know how powerful and fabulous I'm going to feel because I want to give my clients great information and just keep in touch and show the love and not like market to them, but really, as an insurance agent, just continue to be a powerful resource, like whether it's, getting economical x-rays or how to, file their claims or remind them to send me their HIPAA forms so I can help them with their claims, just little things like that. Right. But then I started and I'm like, that doesn't look good. Oh, maybe that's not right. And so it's just one of those things where I think it's that I put this procrastination on it because I don't know, like I'm not confident of it.
So Candace, that's a great point. And I put it in the chat box, everybody. And one of the lessons that I had to learn a long time ago is that,
geez, Louise, you said it.
it's procrastination equals perfection, is we want everything perfect because we as adults somewhere in time have been told that if it doesn't go out perfectly, then it's not professional, or if it's not perfect, you're going to offend someone.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's even rooted in a grading system. You passed, but you didn't get 100%.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this for a second. How many doctors do you know family practice doctors do you know? 1, 6, 10, 12, 20? Do you guys know several?
Oh, yeah.
How many? So tell me, do you know their grade point? Do you know if they got an A or a D and still passed?
Probably
that's-
a good thing we don't.
Yeah, I don't want to know if my doctor made a D. I do not want to know that information.
So it's really interesting. So I just went through this an hour with Michael Lozier, who is the author and the law of attraction guy. And it was so interesting to me. He's like, 9 of 10 people, Candace, that you write this newsletter to aren't going to know if you're right or wrong. 9 of those 9 people, maybe
Perfect sense.
maybe 80% of them are actually going to have an idea of what you're talking about. The 20% of them are going to understand completely. So as you walk through this, your perfection syndrome, or wanting it to be perfect for everybody, will keep you in this procrastination mode for a long time. And so I would I would honestly tell you, you're good enough. You've done the work. You understand the information. Send it, document it. If you're really that fearful of it, send it to 10 people on your list.
How about send it to your business partner and let her help you?
Well, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about asking for help, but I'm trying not to get anybody shot in the head here today.
No, it's all good. And we started it together and we need to, just.
Yeah, she's working on it in the background and not telling me because she's too busy beating herself up because it's not perfect. And she knows when she shows it to me, I'm going to say, that's amazing. Why are we still hanging on to it?
Can I ask you a question, Candace?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the worst thing that happens if you just sent it right now?
I love you, Sarah. Exactly, because it's the draft is there. So yeah. After
And
this,
what are you learning by not sending it?
zero.
That's a good point because the only way that we are supposed to be working on this together, by the way, the only way we can improve it is if we send it out and get feedback.
Yep, love it.
So when are you going to send it?
Thank you, Sarah. You're killing it
It's
today.
gonna
You can
be
tell
next
she has
week
an
because
action
it's
coach.
Memorial weekend.
Oh.
And we need people to read it. So Monday?
Can you send it to me too? I'd love to see it.
Oh, I love that, Sarah. Okay, we'll do.
There's the illustration that I actually was reading in a book club, or just read in a book from a book club, that one group in a pottery class was given the assignment of doing one teapot and making it as perfect as they could, and their grade was going to be based on that. And the other group was graded based on the number of teapots that they could create during the semester, and it was based if they had a certain weight when they were complete, that they would get an A. And what they found was not only did the people who started and just kept doing it one after another got better and better and better, theirs was better over time. So time on task over time is going to be way better than somebody that just has talent, because if they're not using it, they're not learning from it, they're stationary and they're being passed. So
Sweet. That's
begin and learn.
nice.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Love
Well,
it.
we
So
we are.
Oh, we are. Go ahead, Tanner.
I was gonna say we've got a few minutes left here, and I did want to kind of go a little bit into that second part, which was remembering to celebrate how far you've come. And I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I think as we kind of finish off this call today, I'd like to have everyone take just a quick minute and think about something that went really well this week. Just one thing that went incredibly well this week, a big win that you had. And I'd love to hear, how are you going to celebrate that today and over the weekend?
Ooh, great question, Tanner.
I landed a new
Answer
see a
that
lot of-
question too, right,
and I'm
Tanner?
smoking a brisket.
Ooh.
My daughter
Nice.
graduated from high school on Tuesday, and trust me, she's super smart and makes great grades, but it has been a challenge, as all of you with children will understand. So that I'm going to take credit for her win of the week.
There you go. Rightfully so.
And how are you going to celebrate?
We're having a little party for her tomorrow to celebrate her.
Nice. Congratulations. That's a milestone.
Thank you. She graduated with high honors, and she's going to UT Dallas for arts and emerging technologies.
Oh, nice.
Great. I was going to think, does she have a job yet? She graduated. Isn't that how it works now? They should get a job and start paying rent.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we're still going to be paying for the next 4 years.
So my win is my celebration. I think we've talked about how like everybody struggles, like we were talking earlier with, parenting and working and business building and all those things. And instead of worrying about, I typically go, well, I don't have time for this. I don't have money for this. And I'll put off doing something fun with my kids sometimes, like a little bit bigger. So I literally just said, nope, I have to go to Neenah for the weekend anyway. There's a Best Western up there that actually is kind of like a water park. They have little slides and all kinds of stuff. So the kids have no idea. And I'm just going to pick them up and take them and go, here, be free. So it's going to be awesome.
Hey, Sarah, from one mom to another whose daughter did just graduate on Tuesday, schedule that time, make it happen, and don't let anything interfere with it, because it is the most important thing you're ever going to do in your life. And that you will beat yourself up forever if you don't spend enough time doing that. So don't ever feel guilty about that. You need that. And so do they.
Thank you, Candace.
Just me, I need to chime in. Tanner, did you hear what she said?
Yes, I heard. I'm taking
Okay,
notes.
just checking. I'm just,
That sounded like an I know.
yeah, it
Yeah,
did,
but you need to
didn't
be
it, Sarah?
reminded as parents, we forget. We do beat ourselves up for both not doing enough business and not spending enough time with our kids. And the fact is business is outrageously important, obviously, but you don't ever get an hour of your life back ever. So spend that time that you need with your children, because there's nothing more important than that.
Awesome. So Tanner, what are you doing to celebrate this weekend? And what was your wins this week?
Well, one of my wins was just the number of connections I made this week. Actually exceeded my goal on kind of where I wanted to hit for the week and number of connections and appointments set. And I am celebrating this week by taking time from probably about noon today through Tuesday morning to not work and just take a step away. And if possible, I'd like to go buy a vehicle, but that is really difficult in this market right now.
There's nothing out there.
Tanner, quick question. If you make that decision, are you typically really good at following through, or are you one of those kind of people that will sort of like sneak in work here and there and that type of thing?
If I've done the prep work, if I've done the prep work and I get my all the little tasks done ahead of time, I'm much more likely to follow. And that's what I've been doing over the last couple of days, is make sure that I have everything that could need to be done between now and Tuesday morning accomplished ahead of time, so that I don't try to sneak a few things in there.
So what needs to happen in addition to that in case you don't meet those goals? What's the backup plan?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have one.
Hey, Sarah,
Yeah.
next Friday, we're going to bring Braden on the call, because his 6-year-old son, he'll tell us the truth, whether he took the time off or
That
not.
would be so
He will
fun.
he will totally tell on his dad. No questions asked.
Love it.
There's no such thing as a secret in this house.
You promised you
It
would.
always
Secret when you have
You
kids.
know, oh yeah, it always reminds me when I'm over there and Braden will walk into his office and get off the phone, Dad.
Oh,
We're having dinner.
Good for him.
Love that so much.
That is so awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, Candace, what was you're celebrating? Tom, what are you celebrating, buddy? We'll finish this up.
So I've got great inertia for listings, where listings are few and far between. And so, shameless plug, please let me know if you know anybody that's looking to buy or especially sell. But I had a come list me call, which was really good. I called another person to see if they would sell one of their houses, and they told me I've got somebody else that wants to sell. So I'm riding that wave. Tomorrow will kind of be a day off, which means that I'm the MC for a 8-hour event for veterans. It's a Heroes Night Out, military appreciation barbecue. And that's a lot of fun and rejuvenating, and it gets me away from my phone. And I can't, it's so bright out that my phone kind of stinks. I can't see my text. So it'll be like a day off. So that's what I'll do tomorrow.
Awesome. Cool. Who's left? Shelly, I know, welcome. I know you've been sitting over there nice and quiet today. What are you going to do to celebrate this weekend?
Well,
And what was your
I'm going to-
win?
Oh, I tell you what, just yesterday being the last day of school, I couldn't be more proud of my daughters as a mother. One of my daughters, they're both A students. One of them just made the competition cheer team at Cedar Park High School, which is a big feat for her sophomore year. and remarkable grades, but moreover, they're just exceptional kids. So we're going summer school shopping, or not summer school, summertime shopping. So I'm looking forward to spending that time with them, but just so grateful for my girls and just kind of really appreciating that today as we closed out a really tough school year.
Was that a Freudian slip? We're going to send her back to summer school.
No, thank goodness they don't have to go to summer school.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for sharing that. This has been a really fun conversation today, and I especially this time of year, getting through 2 months into this quarter and almost halfway through the year in a month here. I think this is very timely discussion on kind of goals and celebrating how far we've come, things like that. So I appreciate this conversation. We'll wrap it here. As always, share this with anybody else that you think would get value from joining these calls. Hopefully, as you kind of saw today, the more folks we get on these calls, the more value I think we can gain out of it, and getting perspective from many others out there and such as well. So business leaders, business owners, aspiring business leaders or owners, anyone that you think could get value out of a conversation like this, invite them to come along. The bigger our community becomes, the better we all become. So that's really what we're shooting for here. And I appreciate you all taking the time to come and join in on these on Fridays. If you're not in the Facebook group, jump in there if you can. If you're someone that uses Facebook, we'll be continuing to post these videos in there so we can continue to promote discussion, throw some other tidbits and such in there and such as well. And if you're in the Facebook group, please feel free to share. If you've got content pieces that you think would be valuable for the group, throw it out there. It does not just have to be our team throwing stuff out there. We're doing it to kind of keep it active, but it is meant to truly be a community where anybody can jump in and share some tidbits and such as well.
Is it called Thrive, or is it
Thrive to Action? And I can send you the information, Candace, if I haven't already.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Today, like I said, Melinda's with me, and so next week she will be independent, have her own independent squares.
Yeah, that was actually me that was talking earlier about my daughter graduating. That Candace graduated last year.
And next week we'll get to hear the results of the emails that were sent to 10+1.
There we go. I love
There
it.
we go.
Mom's a good listener.
Andy and Tanner, thank you so much for this. What a great way to wrap up the week for a Friday call with everybody and share. And thank you very much.
It is our
Excellent.
pleasure.
Thanks for joining us.
Glad y'all could join us.
Thanks, guys.
All righty. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week or rest of your day, and have a wonderful weekend.